My name is Aisha Ibrahim. The quest for 11-year-old Gifty Odanjo to get furniture for decent education in her rural school, Bakbaba DA Primary School in the northern region, moved her to uncontrollable tears. She questioned why they have to slam on hard bare floors, sometimes lying on their bellies just to have education. In the first episode of Ghana's Schools of Shame Season 2, Gifty makes a passionate appeal to the government to solve the problem. Features editor Jojo Kobna has more.
Children slumming on the bare, dirty floor in the name of education is common in many rural communities across the country. Pupils improvise by squatting, lying on their bellies or assuming weird positions on the floor just to get an education. Bakbaba Primary School in the Nanumba North District of the Northern Region is one of the schools with a furniture problem. About 6 classes sit on the bare floor to study. For many years, the nursery, kindergarten, all the way to primary 5 do not have furniture. The problem is bigger in the Northern Region. About 213,252 children are without furniture, and that is according to the Africa Education Watch. Children show up to school in clean uniforms but get dirty in less than 30 minutes upon arrival. Odanjo Gifty is a primary 5 pupil. To get access to a desk, she comes to school very early in the morning. The furniture situation here is based on a first-come, first-served basis, but she is not happy losing hours of sleep because of furniture. Gifty found a way to avoid lying on the floor to write, but she's not happy that her colleagues lie on their bellies to write.
Government blood of Ganangakite. The gun can enter it. Debayadan school cakatange. Ali lack of one young kanga, Ipum Bimena, never couldn't do the Rochinawa. Bokakamu cakatange. Uniform back by uniform, but the gun can enter it.
At this point, tears cloud her eyes, and shortly after, all emotions she had bottled up finally let loose.
Ali Mabakasalakana, marked by uniform, my uniform Bakaka. Unkakatonka, what I don't to cock my coats on in Ali to like being cooked. What I batter.
She had endured enough of the humiliation. Her teacher, Janet Tijotap, who served as my translator, could not believe that the children are so affected by the furniture situation. She also shed tears.
During the rainy season, whenever it rains, it links from the up there. So they have to run into a small room over there. So she coming to school to see her colleagues lying down. When she look at it, she feels sad. So and that was what made her cry. I feel bad.
These tears are because of the pain of inequalities they had suffered for years. Teachers have not explored how children feel about sitting, lying and squatting on the bare, dirty floor to study. Many, including teachers, assume that the children are used to slamming it hard on the floor. But times have changed. The children are demanding equality.
Sir, it's very pathetic. The educational minister should try his possible means and talk to Akufo-Addo to solve this problem, because, like I said, she has been seeing her colleagues on TV, how they dress, how their classrooms look, but theirs is different. It's not even quarter to the others.
In 2021, data from the Ministry of Education indicates that about 956,000 KG pupils, representing half of the national KG population, and 1.28 million pupils in primary schools lack desks in schools. Community members of Bakwaba say they have been supporting their children the best way they can. An NGO in education, School for Life, brought them together to ponder over the affairs of the school, to implement a project called Citizen-Led Educational Accountability Responsiveness, which aims at getting the community to hold the government accountable. Parents and some community members divided themselves into two groups, debating ways of supporting the school and also ways of holding the government accountable.
Look at it. Look at the class. Class, I made work. Some classes empty. So how does a teacher divide him or herself to teach two classes? It can't happen.
But back in the classroom.
Well, we've been joined by Peter Nochukotoy. He's the ranking member on Parliament's Education Committee. Grateful for your time, sir. First, how do you feel that in this modern day and age, children have to slap it on the hard, bare floor just to get education? Hello, Mr. Nochukotoy.
Yes. Good morning to you, Aisha.
Good morning, sir.
I hope you are doing well.
Very well.
Yes. I want to thank you and the multi-choice. You have done a very good job by going to the hinterland to see what is happening in our various communities as far as basic education is concerned. Seeing the pictures for some time now, I am very, very much disappointed. Disappointed in the sense that in this new century, things should be going the way we are seeing them now. Children lying on the floor and writing. How can we imagine that? We have failed as leaders in our responsibility to our people, especially those who vote for us to occupy the positions that we occupy in government. And we are not able to do what is expected of us. So I am very, very much disappointed. What is important is that we have neglected basic education to a very large extent. And that is the foundation which we should build. We are not building the foundation, but we have gone far and said senior high school is free, is this. My sister, for 2 academic years now, capitation grant has not been released. How come? How would the school authorities run the schools? There's nothing they can do. So all this is happening because the resources are not going to the right places to help our basic schools meet their demands as far as furniture is concerned. The common fund that goes to the assembly is very small. Everything is distributed in Accra, and then something just small is sent to them. How can they provide furniture with that money? But it is very small. Then, if you come to get funds, that is where even the worst problem is. They have been trying to supply furniture, but I can tell you that this 2023 formula that they brought, which we couldn't approve because of a number of issues, you will realize that they have reduced their appropriation or what it should go to them. They have reduced it by more than 60%. They are taking just 39%. And that of 39%, they are going to pay debt out of it of 1.2 billion. So you realize that in their estimate for this 2023, they are not going to provide any furniture for any school in this country. Can you imagine that? So we are failing as leaders to look into this. So if in this 21st century, children will be lying on the floor to write, no table, no chair. In some communities, they don't even have the school, the infrastructure. Then I don't know where we are going.
So
education is collapsing in the country.
What's the role of your committee, the Education Committee of Parliament, in getting the Education Ministry, the GES, and other stakeholders to actually resolve this issue?
Yes, as a committee, we have met with the ministry, and then we said that they should increase the budget of basic schools. Now, the budget for basic schools or primary education is reducing year by year, and that is not the best. We should rather see appreciation, not a depreciation. So we have spoken as a committee that make sure that you increase the budget for pre-tertiary education, especially the primary level. Then again, we have also asked the Minister of Finance to provide GET Fund with all the funds that are due to them. They should stop capping proceeds to GET Fund, because everything about education is now financed by GET Fund. Government only pays salary, but everything, every other thing, it is GET Fund. And if you look into the budget for this year, they cannot even start any new project, basic school or secondary school. They cannot, because the money is just not there. Instead of 4.6 billion, they have been allocated only 1.8 billion. And they're going to pay a debt of 1.2 billion out of the 1.8. So they will be left with just about 600 million. And I know they have some commitments from last year. So they will be left with about 55 million for administrative purposes. So no classroom block, no furniture, nothing. So government must sit up. We have spoken as a committee, but we don't have the whip. It is the government that has the whip, that can release money. They have the pay, they have everything. So we have been talking, and I think if the Minister of Finance will listen to us, I think it will be better. We have spoken, and I think we have played our part.
Peter Nochu-Kotori is the ranking member on the Education Committee. I'm grateful for your time this morning. We'll definitely look at how the Education Ministry will be resolving this issue, because look, we've had this conversation for quite some time now. Now, the National Labour Commission has summoned the Judicial Service Staff Association, JUSAG, to appear before it over plans to embark on an industrial action. JUSAG is demanding implementation of the Judicial Council's advice on salary review, as it indicates it will embark on the industrial action starting on May 15. The National Labour Commission is they are seeking to actually hold this and has asked parties to come to the negotiation table. And joining me via Zoom is Abdullahi Yakubu. He's the General Secretary of JUSAG. I'm grateful for your time, Mr. Yakubu. Have you received this letter from the National Labour Commission, and does this put your intended protest on hold? Hello, Mr. Yakubu. Kindly,
hello.
Good. Go ahead. So I'm asking if you've received the letter from the National Labour Commission and whether that puts your intended protest on hold.
Okay, thank you very much, and thanks to staff of the Judicial Service for their support and their hard work. Yes, we received the letter from the National Labour Commission yesterday.
Okay, and will that in any way put your protests on hold?
We are yet to appear before the commission tomorrow. Even though they would have stated it in their letter, the outcome of tomorrow's meeting will determine what will be the fate of our planned industrial action. But as far as we are concerned, our plans are still as they are.
Let's understand your demands and also the kind of engagement you've had with the National Labour Commission, which has informed your intended strike or your decision to actually go on strike. What has been the demand?
Our demand is a very simple and moderate one. Our demand is that the President of Ghana should comply with Article 149 of the Constitution and assent or approve the recommendation of the Judicial Council on the review of our salaries and related allowances. for implementation in the month of May with all the arrears. That is a simple demand we have placed before the President. That advice of the Council is before the President, awaiting his assent to it.
Hello, Yakubu. Kindly unmute for me. I think you touched your button and it's muted. Yes, Yakubu. Okay, go ahead. I think you're back now.
Okay.
Yeah, so we lost you a bit because probably you touched your audio button and it went off.
Okay, so our demand is that the President should approve the recommendations of the Judicial Council in respect of our salaries and related allowances to be implemented in the month of May 2023 with all the arrears from January to May. That is a simple demand we are making before the President. We don't even think the Commission would have gotten to this point because it appears this problem has been recurring over time. If you check the trajectory of events over the years, anytime we are to have review of salaries for staff of the judicial service, it appears we'll have to threaten an industrial action before somebody will come in to use certain cosmetic ways to delay us before the salaries come. And as the third arm of government, we don't think staff should be subjected to what we are being subjected to, especially at a time that government will do the COLA in December 2023 and reviews the salaries of other public sector workers by 30% and sorry, in 2020. Okay, in December 2022, judicial service staff. That is the thing that we appear to be having.
Mr. Yakubu, so what kind of engagement have you had with the National Labour Commission, I mean, previously, before taking the decision to go on strike?
Okay, the National Labour Commission doesn't determine our salaries, and we ought not to have any business with them in the first place. Our engagement will be between the Judicial Council and the government.
Okay.
Per the Constitution, the President determines our salaries based on the advice of the Judicial Council. We have engaged the Judicial Council. They have forwarded their report or their advice to the President for the President to assent to it for implementation. Whilst it was delaying, we wrote to the CJ who chairs the Judicial Council to intervene on our behalf, and he was intervening. There appeared to be a little bit of delay, and we wrote to the President himself, asking that he should assent to the salaries for implementation in the month of May, and we gave him up to 12 of this month. After 12 of this month, if we don't get it, we're going to advise ourselves. And as law-abiding organization, we have to notify the Labour Commission in accordance with the law that if after 12 of this month our demands are not met, we shall embark on a series of industrial actions to press home our demand.
And so when are you to meet over this letter from the National Labour Commission, and then what will be the decision after this meeting?
We shall be meeting the National Labour Commission, God willing, tomorrow at 11 a.m.
And then you will take a decision after the meeting?
Yes, please. We'll take a decision after the meeting.
All right. Abdullahi Yakubu is the General Secretary of JUSAG, and thank you so much for talking to us. We'll be monitoring that meeting and sure bring you updates from there. And on your election headquarters, NDC flag bearer hopeful Dr. Kwabena Dufo is demanding postponement of the May 13 primary, citing failure of the party to provide an accurate register of voters with barely a week to the polls. A statement signed by his campaign team alleges several discrepancies have been identified in the photo album made available by the party. They therefore want the polls on hold while the party works on a roadmap towards securing a credible register. Well, I've been joined by Mustafa. Right, so I'll be joined by Mustafa Gbande, who is the Deputy Secretary of the NDC, to speak to the issues. But this is excerpts of the letter that was issued by the team for Dr. Dufo, and these are their demands. One, postponement of the presidential primaries from May 13, stakeholders meeting to establish an agreeable roadmap that will guarantee the integrity of the voters' register. 3 clean voters register within an agreeable time frame to ensure free and fair elections and to save the image of the NDC so that the party can have the credible voice to speak on the national elections matters when the need arises. Let's now speak with Mustafa Gbande. He is the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. Grateful for your time. First, have these concerns come to your attention or the attention of the party?
Thank you very much, Aisha, for having me. Yes, we have received a letter reported to be coming from Dr. Pamela Report, signed by one Kofi Kukubo, and which he made several allegations and etc. Now, what is important to state is that the party, as in the headquarters, which is the returning of supervising this election, have provided delegate list for all aspirants over a month ago. Now, what we are compiling is an additional mechanism for very transparent election. And so in this album, you will find people's, voter registration data. You will find pictures so that we reduce the issues of impersonation and all of that. Dr. Pamela Dufour's camp have received this information. They've received about 240 constituencies. And so if they have any issues, I believe that those issues will be raised and will be addressed by the elections committee. Beyond that, I don't foresee anything crucial that will make us postpone an election. There have been some level of inconsistency from that camp, particularly when it is required for the guidelines that in every process through this election, all candidates are required to bring representatives. There have been cases where there are reps from this campaign team and then similar members from the campaign team are calling on the same information, giving them a delegate list. We had calls from other quarters of the same camp requesting for the same thing without even knowing that their colleagues have taken custody of such information. We're printing ballot boxes. They had reps in the printing room, but we got calls from the same camp asking when we'll be printing ballot boxes. So clearly, there is no information sharing in that camp, and that cannot be our responsibility. But what is more important is that we are existing to address issues that will be raised by aspirants, and we don't think that these are some of the issues that can cause a postponement of elections, except if one wants to drive mischief. That the party is resolved.
Invited the Dr. Dufour's team to actually explain this to them after this their demands. And are you also considering the demand that you postpone the polls from May 30?
There is nothing that's stated that there is no problem to suggest that election should be postponed. And the letter that has been written and the allegations raised in those letters, in one breath, they have claimed that they have analyzed over 3,800 polling stations. We don't have 3,800 polling stations for the purposes of this election. We want to believe that they have made some errors on their part, and that if we will meet them and state these issues clearly, and then address the challenges if they are germane to the election. But beyond that, and the processes that we have put in place, very confident of these processes, transparent enough to offer a credible internal election, we don't think that there's any problem that will lead to postponement of elections. So that suggestion is a welcoming one, but we don't think that's something that will fly.
Mustafa Gbande, I'm grateful for your time. He's Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. Let's stick with the NDC primaries because 3 out of the 47 constituencies in the Ashanti region will not participate in the upcoming presidential and parliamentary primaries of the NDC. Formina, Adanse, Asokwa, and Menchia South constituencies have issues that need to be addressed before delegates can exercise their franchise.
Is preparing for the parliamentary and presidential primaries this Saturday. 3 out of the 47 constituencies in the Ashanti region cannot participate in the upcoming election. Regional Communications Director Abbas Nuruddin says Menchia South has issues with ghost names in the delegates' album. He says polls in Adanse Asokwa and Fomena have been withheld for strategic reasons by the party.
As we speak, 3 constituencies are on hold. Menchia South, Adanse Asokwa and Fomena for very good reasons. For Menchia South, it has issues with the credit bomb, based on which the branch and constituency executives were elected. Some group has raised serious issues with it, and in order not to mar the credibility of the presidential election, we have decided to put that on hold, sort that out, so that they can do at least parliamentary elections later. For Fomena, it has to do with some very strategic reasons that National has decided on. So we don't actually know the main reason why Fomena and Adanse Asokwa, but it's for very strategic reasons.
During the election of constituency executives of the party, issues of inadequate ballot papers in some constituencies halted the process while others were postponed. To avoid such incidents, the party is printing excessive ballot papers to top up the number of delegates in every constituency.
Like we did during our constituency and regional elections, we are doing our own printing, but at the end of the day, those electoral materials will be handed over to the Electoral Commission to conduct the election. And we have made arrangement for extra ballot papers. So, for instance, if 1,000 people are voting at a particular polling center, more than about 10% of ballot materials will be added. So in the event that some ballot papers are defaced or destroyed, they can fall on the extra ballot provided to ensure that nobody is disenfranchised.
According to Nuruddin Abbas, security arrangements have been handed over to the police administration. He says no party task force will be used for the polls.
The National Security Force, made up of the police, are the ones going to provide security at the various centers. That we have said without equivocation. But sometimes you can't also tell whether some of these big men that come around came in an organized vigilante group to cause mayhem, or they came in an individual capacity. We have some of these macho men, well-built men who are branch executives in the various constituencies. They have every right to be at the voting centers to also exercise their franchise. But you can't allege that the fact that they are well-built men means they are coming to the electoral centers to cause mayhem.
For JoyNews, Nana Bwachi reporting.
And still on the NDC, former Deputy National Women's Organizer Mami Fuasichi Edo will be battling it out with 6 male aspirants in the Infantiman constituency. The contest is expected to be a fierce one, with the aspirants crisscrossing the constituency in a last-minute push to woo the delegates. Now, the only female contender in the race believes her resourcefulness and experience in the political space should produce the needed magic for her. Richard Kwejanyako has more.
The Infantiman constituency is a swing one. Whoever wins the seat more often has his or her party forming the government. 7 aspirants are all gearing up to get the nod from the delegates of the party in the upcoming primaries.
I want to invest in the delegates. I want the delegates to feel the impact of a good government. So what we are going to do is that we are going to have a delegate fund. First of all, I am going to make sure that I unify Infantiman. We have too many fragmentations here. We have too many camps, too many divisions. There's no unity here. Being a woman, being a mother, that is what I want to do. I want to bring Infantiman together. I want Infantiman to be unified. And once we start from there, everything else is possible.
Mami Fuasichi Edo, the only female contender, says she has all it takes to pip the men in the contest.
Well, first of all, I want delegates to understand that when we come to them and talk to them, They are matured politicians and they should know who speaks the truth. They should also go for experience, because half the time people come and they are finding their feet, you know. But here I am. I have gone through that already. I'm not finding my feet. I understand where I am. I understand what I'm bringing them, and I know how to get it for them.
Apart from her, there are 3 others who are speculated to be the front runners in the contest.
They know what I've been doing to support the party from 2012 till now. So when I entered there, I was the last person, and they started giving testimonies of what I have been doing to support the party. And they were mentioning, you did this, you did this, you did this. I was just nodding and looking at them, and I said, yes, this is Andy Kofi.
Alfred Andy Kofi believes his works in the constituency should give him an edge over his competitors.
We've heard of your name, we've seen your good works, that is why you become an MP. And this is what came from the panel. You know, in everything, amongst the equals, there's always the best. So even if you were 1,000, don't forget that in the Bible, Jesse has 7 sons. David was the last one, and he was the promised son who became a king on a foreign land. So if you are 7, yes, it also means that NDC, we have the men. We have equal people that can equally do the work better. So yes, we are 7. I believe that God will choose one, and that is Andy Kofi. When Andy Kofi wins, the 6 will come to join me to help NDC, Infantiman, Central Region, and Ghana to go forward.
Political watchers believe that Mami Efosichi Edu, who's been a national executive before, Alfred Andy Kofi, Dr. Ebenezer Prince Ahen, Kobina Main Samano are the favorites in the context. Reporting for Joy News, Richard Kwejenyako, Infantiman constituency.
Away from the NDC, the University of Development Studies has set up a committee to investigate the collapse of the 6-story building at its city campus. The Vice-Chancellor announced this after the university's management team visited the site. The team, which will comprise experts in construction, will be expected to come out with their findings in the shortest possible time. Director of Communications of the University, Abdul Hayyu Mumin, who disclosed this in an interview, said the committee would look into the cause of the collapse and make recommendations. One of the twin 6-story buildings of the university's city campus under construction collapsed last Saturday after a heavy downpour. Mr. Mumin said an audit of the other 6 stories still standing will be done to ensure its structural integrity.
The latest update is that the Vice-Chancellor of the University for Development Studies, Professor Said Al-Hassan, together with members of his management team, including the Pro-Vice-Chancellor and the Registrar, as well as the other members, visited the site today. I must also add that prior to their visit, officials of NADMO had been to the site to assess the extent of damage and to do some preliminary investigations into the matter. Upon the visit of the Vice-Chancellor and his team to the site, the Vice-Chancellor did indicate that from tomorrow, a committee would be formed. That committee will comprise people who are experts in the area of construction. That team will be tasked to come out with a report in the shortest possible time, a report that will look into the cause of the collapse of that building. The report is also expected to make recommendations as to the building that is left standing, its integrity in terms of its infrastructural integrity, but also to look at whether or not it is safe enough for the building to continue going up. Again, the contractor was also on site together with the management team as they went around. The contractor is ASIB Construction Limited. ASIB, for those who follow construction industry very well, these are not new persons in the business, and again, it is early days yet for anyone to be able to confirm exactly what caused the building to collapse. We urge that we all be patient for the committee that will be named subsequently tomorrow to finish their work, come out with their report. And when they do come out with their reports, we will ensure that being a public university, we tell the public exactly what happened. That building that went down was supposed to be a 6-story building. Indeed, they are twin buildings, two buildings standing side by side. One has gone down. The one that went down was mainly expected to be used for lectures. So there were huge lecture halls in there, lecture halls that had certain capacities of maybe up to 340, some of the lecture halls 150. There were a few offices expected to be in there as well. Unfortunately, all that is gone. But it was also meant for mainly the Institute for Distance and Continuing Learning of the University for Development Studies. So you know that we have been complaining about the lack of infrastructure. It was a hope of management that with this building, especially on the city campus, that a lot of the problems that had to do with the lack of infrastructure would have been addressed. But again, we all need to wait for the committee to come up with its report, and then we will know what actions to take next.
Media personality and women rights activist Gifty Auntie has launched a 6th book titled When Strong Women Cry. The book focuses on encouraging the corporate woman and business executive to be more vocal in their line of work when faced with problems. Gifty Auntie believes there's a critical need for a positive push for women in times of distress. There's more in this report.
When Strong Women Cry, a book written by Ohineyere Gifty Auntie, is the 6th of the series of books she has authored to empower emotionally distressed women. Her latest, Why Strong Women Cry, reiterates her resolve to give voice to women in society. Launching the book, a Ghanaian academic and writer, Professor Esi Sutherland Adi, admonished key social players to take a cue from the issues raised in the book and institute good social policies in return.
I also believe that this book has many issues that could be debated. And I would want to invite prayer groups and women's groups and so on to sit down and talk about these things, about the kind of betrayals and so on that happen. Let us spend some time in our organized groups with this book to get us going as far as that sort of thing is concerned. There are many topics that we shy away from, and I wonder. For example, I was wondering if a group of pastors would have the courage to sit down and ask themselves whether they could be better partners, given some of the revelations in this book. I was wondering whether we as parents and as society leaders should admit that we are inculcating in our children the canker which makes them judgmental instead of being supportive, which makes them cruel, which makes them lack empathy. This is found across the world, but could we look at it and see what we can do about it?
Ohineyere Gifty Auntie at the launch highlighted the thought processes and rationale that went into the writing of the book.
Well, this book is basically to let women know that you can turn your adversity into an advantage for the greater good. The process is difficult, it's painful, but when you stay the course, when you stay focused, when you trust God, when you have people you can trust and share with, you will overcome. You don't only overcome when everything is okay. Like the wounded healer, they say you break through the glass ceiling. When you break through the glass ceiling, it's possible you'll get hurt, but you shouldn't let it stop you. Crying is not a weakness. Most of the time, strong people feel that, and indeed, people will say, you're too known, you too, you cry. You say you're a strong woman, why are you crying? So people are afraid to let people know that they cry, to let people know that they are going through challenges. But then there's no shame in that. And you should know that it is not just you. Crying even makes you stronger. It doesn't make you weak.
A survey has been designed to collate data on the prevalence of the factors of non-communicable diseases in the country. The survey is a collaboration between WHO and the GHS and is expected to be rolled out nationwide to aid in effective healthcare delivery. There's more in this report.
Non-communicable diseases are reported to account for 74% of all deaths globally, with more than 3/4 of these deaths occurring in low and middle income countries. Ghana has prioritized the major non-communicable diseases, including cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, cancer, and chronic respiratory diseases. These diseases share common risk factors ranging from unhealthy diet, physical inactivity, to alcohol and tobacco use. The Ghana Health Service, as the lead public health agency in Ghana, considers the implementation of the WHO Steps survey as a critical tool to implementing Ghana's mandate. Speaking on behalf of the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Bafwe shared the benefits the survey will have on the country.
We don't have a national data that depicts the severity of risk factors. But in our policy too, we also want to reduce exposure to risk factors. So if you don't have mechanism to measure the degree of existence of these risk factors, then you can also not have a solid intervention. So we are here to do two things. Just measure the risk factors, and if you are able to measure the risk factors, then Ministry of Health and its agencies can also develop tailor-made intervention to reduce the risk factors, so that in the long run, the people of Ghana will also have that kind of healthy lives to create the world that we need for the country.
In 2006, the WHO Steps was conducted in the Greater Accra region, and it provided insights into the level of these risk factors for the region. With the support of the WHO and other partners, the first nationwide STEPS survey is to be conducted in Ghana this year. Director of Field Operations at the Ghana Statistical Services, Dr. Peter Pepra, outlined the guidelines and the forms the survey will take.
The data from DHS will be complemented with that of the stepwise survey on non-communicable diseases, on demographic and housing information, diet, physical activities, tobacco use, as we've already heard, alcohol consumption, history of blood pressure, history of diabetes. Data collection for STEP survey will be carried out in all the 16 regions, in 385 enumeration areas, and from 5,575 individuals in the age bracket 18 to 69. And this exercise is going to be done within 55 days. As field officers, you play a critical role in the success of this survey. You are going to be ambassadors of Ghana Statistical Service, Ghana Health Service, and World Health Organization. Your responsibility out there is solely for data collection and nothing else. We do not want to hear anything about sexual exploitation of people in the communities you are going to work with, or sexual harassment within teams.
We're still live on JoyNews. Let's go take a break and bring you business shortly.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Business. My name is Darrell Kwao. The National Insurance Commission, as part of efforts to grow interest in purchasing insurance policies, has met with selected celebrities and social influencers to win their willingness to promote the sector. According to Deputy Commissioner of Insurance, Michael Andor, the move will help the industry get more Ghanaians to accept the relevance of signing on to insurance packages. There is more in this report.
If they know that their father, their mother left them something, what is going to happen is that though they are crying within, they know that there's some heavy sum insured awaiting them.
The National Insurance Commission says it is committed to improving insurance education in the country, hence the collaboration with the selected celebrities and social influencers. According to the Commission, this has become necessary to get them to hold the fort in creating awareness on life insurance packages. Here is Deputy Commissioner of Insurance, Michael Kofi Andor.
If I probably stand somewhere and say something,
you cannot compare it to when Mr. David Donto stands somewhere and says it. Somebody will say, Mr. Donto said it, so it must be true. I mean, take it or leave it, that is how we all are as human beings. And so it is important that we get your full cooperation to help us to take the message of insurance out there.
Mr. Ando added that insurance companies are churning out tailored policies to protect some of these celebrities and social influencers.
For people who operate or currently are trade in the informal sector and have not been able to access insurance because they don't have all the features that a big company has. And so we've designed packages and insurance products for them as well. So these products are available, and they are available from all the companies who sell them. Maybe at some point we should get the companies to exhibit some of these products and tell you the features of these products. There are various types of insurance products, as he talked about, and what they are used for, and the various covers and the various risks that they cover you against.
Veteran movie actor and social influencer David Donto had this to say in an interview.
This is very graphic, description of what people go through without insuring. And they don't know. A lot of them actually don't know. It's ignorance. But drama, theater, music, all these things, they clear ignorance. They get people to get to understand and know exactly what they should do when they come face to face with certain challenges, or how to prepare to face the future. Because society is changing very fast. So corporate entities must link up with us, because we are the only people who will send their messages to the grassroots for people to know and use it, for our all benefit. And that is why it's important that we bridge the gap.
Some of the selected celebrities and social influencers pledged their commitment to supporting the NIC deliver on its mandate of improving insurance awareness and uptake in the country.
Our Textiles Ghana Limited, producers of Vlisco and GTB fabrics, has launched a new collection in addition to its wide range of designs. According to Marketing Director of Vlisco Ghana, Marianne Boateng, her firm is committed to creating quality and affordable fabrics to suit the demands of the market. She was speaking at the launch of the new collection.
Textiles Ghana Limited launched a new collection to provide customers with a wide variety of designs to choose from. The new collection includes different designs and comes in different colors. In an interview with Joy Business, Marketing Director of Vlisco, Marianne Boateng said the new collection comes at an affordable price to customers.
Vlisco is premium, very premium. We understand that people want to look good, want to feel confident, want to feel elegant, and it's expensive. However, what we have done is we've listened to our consumers over the years, and we provided smaller yardages. So 2 yards, 4 yards, 6 yards, and then 12 yards. So you don't need to buy the whole piece. You can buy 2 yards and combine. You can buy 4 yards, and you can buy 6 yards. So it suits different pockets. So these designs, you don't find them anywhere. So after this, and it's very limited quantities, so after this you won't find them anywhere at all. They were actually made with the mother in mind, African mother especially, because we know there are certain designs that are appealing to mothers. Most of our designs are bold and intricate anyway, but this one was specially made and inspired with mothers in mind.
A customer, Deborah Bonnet, commended Vlisco for always providing the best fabrics to its customers.
I have been using Vlisco for some time now. I love the feel, I love the texture, the color, the design. They are unique. That's why I come for Vlisco. You can use Vlisco for so many years. You wash it with different detergents, but you still have the color, you still have the feel, you still have the texture. That's why I love Vlisco. And when you wear Vlisco, it feels differently on your skin. So it's a very good brand, and I encourage everybody who is around, who hasn't used Vlisco before, should try and see, and they will never be disappointed.
And that's all in business. The news continues after this break.
And as I wrap up our Joy News desk this morning, my name is Aisha Ibrahim. Log on to myjoyonline.com. There's more of the news and all the updates of the developing story. Some of the headlines you'll be seeing: Ghana schools of shame, a child's tears for table and a chair. And there's more when you log on to myjoyonline.com. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. See you again at 12.